Good morning. Just having some coffee this morning. Jesus said, "I must tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God." Jesus. So a lot of stuff that has to be known in order for your prayers to avail much. In order for the reestablishment of the kingdom come, that will be done on earth as in heaven. What people don't realize is we are the church. We are his personal representatives. But once we establish a corporation of church, we are making covenant contract with the enemy. Okay, now the government technically is not the enemy, but the government is run by wicked politicians. The majority of them are evil, like 87%. And that's changing right now. Jesus taking over. Excuse me. So, with that said, I talked about the spirit of sleep. So the spirit of sleep happens when they do a covenant contract. And the witches and the warlocks in the area, the covens, which means covenants with Satan, they come into your church and they seem, some of them are just sweet old ladies. They're not sweet, but they act that way. Grandmas, grandpas, young people, young witches, young warlords. They come into your church to cancel out your prayers. Their job is to pray 24/7. They have people on 24/7 prayer watches to cancel your prayers. They pray that you'll never wake up, that you'll never enter in, that you'll never prosper, you will never, and I could go on and on and on, but I don't want you to claim that. Because the prayers of a righteous person avails much. So the spirit of sleep, which also is death, comes over an area because of covenants. Covenants with Satan, covens. And the minute they establish a church, incorporate a church, then it's free game for the enemy to come in and to cancel out the effects of the church. So I have to tell you the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, Jesus. It's going to come to shock to some people, but they're more vigilant than the Christians, because Christians don't pray 24/7. And pray without ceasing really means have that communication line open. It's like having your cell phone on at all times up against your ear, spiritually speaking. Now also there's people called to take prayer vigils every 30 minutes or every hour. And you could have, if you have 100 in your church, you got only 24 in an hour. But then if you have a serious, the church is established on the prophets and apostles and prophets, however you want to say, they're two in one in him. That's what the church is established on, and they can see and hear in the spirit. And their prayers do a lot more damage to the enemy than the rest of the congregation. So you really want them in your church, but the church leadership doesn't want them in their church because they want to be little GODs. They have big egos, which is really insecurity. It's just like, watch a gangster movie. If you want to see how the enemy plays, watch a gangster movie. The biggest gangster may put on this persona to make everybody fear. But the only way he can keep himself in position is to make them fear you. Now, fear is, in the past it's called false evidence, pure and real. So to kind of bark you up a tree to keep you in the condemnation and weakness. So they're actually working in weakness, but it looks like power. Now, Satan does not have any power of his own. He was relinquished of his power when he fell. Now, the true Satan was a snake, and Lucifer now is the full embodiment, the hands and feet and everything, because he was not just a snake. He was not just a liar. He became the author of the good and evil on the earth. Relinquished his good. He was a light bearer. So he has no power of his own. So the prayer would be, why? Why does he have power? Why does he do this? Why does he do that? He steals it. He steals it from you. Because once you fear him, that means respect. Once you fear him, that's giving him respect. And then that gives him power. So you have mass amounts of people that are living in fear that give him power. And there's the greatest amount of lies which come from him, greatest amount of fear that comes from him on the earth right now. Now, on the opposite effect, there's the greatest amount of faith. Small amount of people, but the greatest amount of faith right now that they'll tell the enemy to shut up. It's like the Terminator, talk to the hand, talk to the hand. They don't agree with him in any way, shape, or form. They know he has no power. He steals it. He steals it through manipulation, coercion, control, intimidation, and you can go on and on and on with all that negative crap. So, the truth is, the Christian churches, I told you, are the church, and there's his church, the ones that cement a relationship. Now, you can't fight him with sticks and stones to break the bones. And in these Christian churches, there's a lot of true heart-to-heart people that are his church. And there's a bunch of them are the church, which just go through the motions and emotions, ritual, and appear to do the right thing, but their heart is far from them. They honor with their lips. You know, Polly wants cracker. Polly wouldn't want a doggone cracker. He's just repeating what you said. You know, they'll repeat all these scriptures and whatever, but they have not Jesus within them. I watched an interview with a big evangelist that, you know, influences tens of thousands of people all over the world. And it's a she, which she's a Jezebel. And she's so weak that she posts scripture everywhere. And I'm not saying you can't post scripture everywhere, but if you look at deep into her eyes, into her soul, she don't have no Jesus within her. She's getting more and more paranoid, just like Saul did. When David's supposed to be the minister, the king, Saul, they wanted a king right now. And so God gave him King Saul, which he was a mess. So it's time to do another video, but digest that, think about that, pray about that. Sticks and stones, we live by the sword, die by the sword, will not help you. Only the relationship, the one-on-one relationship. Then your prayers mean much, avail much. Prayers of a righteous avails much. So, if you infiltrate the church, you will find there's tons of remnant in there. But they have no discernment that they're honoring witches and warlocks that have a covenant with Satan, spiritual covenant. And then the incorporation papers have a natural covenant with the government, which the government's been run by Satan since day one, since chapter 3 of Genesis. So now that's changing. God is putting good people in office, godly people in office, true heart-to-heart worshipers in office now. You may be one that he's putting in office right now. So pray about that. Maybe you need to be on your knees in humility in 2 Chronicles 7:14 so that he can raise you up. Usher you in the throne room, 7:14, a revelation to get your orders and carry them out. And it's all done through love, because God's power is love. The power of love. Huey Lewis and New had a song, The Power of Love. There's a song, More Power, More Love. Worship song. You get that by loving him back, because he loved us first. So with that, I'll sign off for now. There's much to be said in this time. Please pray. Please understand. Please see. You can't take down the church by knocking them upside the head, punching them in the mouth. But you have to know how the enemy controls a town, a city. Spirit of sleep, spirit of death. You know, the C19, Satan always causes another war every 1.9 years, which is a disease, a plague, a death sentence. C19. So there's a death angel tied into this plague. The only way you can get through it is you face it head on. And you got to live. You got to prevail. You got to fight it. You can't avoid it. You cannot be inoculated against death. You cannot respect death. If you respect death, you cannot raise the dead. You agree with death. You respect death. You fear death. You're causing death. What Job feared most came upon him, which was his children's sins. He threw more doves on the fire every day, extra doves, extra sacrifice, because his children were sinning. One of the versions said that, the versions in the Bible said that just in case his children said, no, they were sinning. What he feared most was the sins of his children would come and bite him. And God allowed Satan to try him real hard, twice, real hard, until he finally realized he needed to stand up and realize they're God's children and we are the stewards of the children or stewards of the people, stewards of a lot of people, congregation, to steward the stewardship correctly. So the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, Jesus. All right, signing off for now. I'll try to get some more out to you later. All right, God bless you. Go and drink the rest of my coffee now. Thanks.